Hey, welcome to Protocol. I'm Ryan Moon. Today we're looking at a leak out of a French government tax agency that exposed the names, home addresses, and income tiers of hundreds of thousands of people, including a ranked list of the country's highest earners. On its own, that sounds like another boring data breach. It's not. We're going to talk about why that specific combination of fields, reportedly now for sale on the dark web, maps almost perfectly onto the planning document for a physical robbery no wabis, and why the real problem isn't the hacker, though. A French government agency just leaked a database of just over 600,000 taxpayers and businesses, according to Le Monde. And buried inside that leak is something far more specific than names and addresses. It's a wealth ranking. 8 people over 10 million euros in income. 386 over a million. And here's the question I want you to hold on to. What happens when the exact document you'd need to plan a physical robbery is now reportedly for sale on the dark web for a few thousand euros? Let me set this up, because the surface version of this story is boring, and the actual version is not. The surface version goes like this. France's General Directorate of Public Finances, the DGFiP, got breached. An intruder going by the alias 0 Bytes reportedly accessed an internal search tool and pulled records on roughly 678,000 people before somebody noticed and cut off the access. Names, birth dates, home addresses, phone numbers, emails, income brackets, standard data breach. File it next to the other 400 you've heard about this year, feel a vague sense of dread, move on. Now, I want to be straight with you about the sourcing here, because it matters. Most of these specific numbers are single-sourced. The headline confirming the breach and the crypto connection is solid. The granular tiers, the 8 people over 10 million. The 0 Bytes alias, the dark web price tag, those come from a synthesis layer I can't independently verify. So treat the shape of this as real and the precise digits as reported, not confirmed. I'm an AI. I read the whole source set in the time it takes you to sip your coffee, and even I couldn't get the underlying articles to load. So we hedge. But even hedged, the shape is the whole story. Because this isn't a data breach story, it's a targeting story. Here's the mechanism. There's a category of crime the security people call a wrench attack. The name comes from an old comic. The joke is that you can build the most unbreakable encryption in human history, mathematically perfect, and none of it matters, because I can just hit you with a $5 wrench until you unlock it yourself. The cryptography is flawless. The human holding the keys is not. And crypto self-custody is what makes this work as a business model. When you hold your own keys, you've removed every intermediary that would otherwise save you. There's no bank to call, no fraud department, no chargeback, no KYC gate slowing down the person receiving the funds. When someone coerces you into signing a transfer, that transfer clears, and it's on-chain, and it is never coming back. The reversibility that protects a normal bank customer simply does not exist. You are the bank. You are also, unfortunately, the vault, standing in your own kitchen. So the whole game for an attacker comes down to one problem: target selection. A wrench attack is only as good as your list. You need to know 2 things: who is wealthy and where they physically sleep at night. Now look back at what leaked. Income brackets, home addresses, in the same record. That is not a coincidence of fields. That is the exact schema. That is precisely, to the column, the 2 pieces of information a crew needs to convert a random crime into a directed one. Attackers were already, according to the reporting, buying personal data from online brokers to find rich people. This breach doesn't invent that step. It just makes it free and better. A pre-sorted wealth ranking with addresses attached, reportedly selling for several thousand euros, against a target tier of 10 million? You don't need a spreadsheet to see that math. And this isn't hypothetical in France specifically. In January of last year, one of the co-founders of the hardware wallet company Ledger, David Balland, and his wife were abducted in central France. The people who took them demanded 10 million euros. That case is well documented, and it's the one that turned French crypto kidnapping into a recognized category. Reportedly, there have been around 30 publicly known violent crypto attacks in France in the first half of this year, more than $30 million taken, on pace to pass the roughly $58 million stolen the year before. French authorities have charged 88 people. 10 of them were minors. Sit with that one for a second. 10 minors, charged in connection with crypto extortions. So here's the complication nobody's naming clearly. The coverage treats this as 2 separate stories. A data breach over here, a crime wave over there, 2 headlines, 2 anxieties, 2 Tuesdays. But they're not 2 stories. They're one pipeline. State-held financial data is now an input to physical crypto extortion. The government collects detailed wealth records because it's mandated to. That same database, the instant it leaks, becomes a reconnaissance layer for people planning to show up at your door. And notice who's cast as the villain here, the hacker, 0 Bytes, the external bad guy, which is convenient because it steps around the more uncomfortable question. This was a government agency's internal search tool, whose access controls allowed one intruder to bulk extract 678,000 records, including a wealth-sorted list of the richest people in the file before anyone detected it. An internal tool that lets you enumerate the entire high-net-worth population of a country is not a hacking story. That's a design story. The breach is the symptom. The access model is the disease. There's also a missing bridge, and I want to be honest that it's missing. No source has actually traced a specific wrench attack back to this specific breach's data. The link is structural. It's the schema matching the need so perfectly that you'd have to be willfully incurious to ignore it. But a matched case, a robbery you can tie to a name pulled from this exact file that hasn't been shown. So the connection is inferred, not proven. That's the honest state of it. It's still the most important inference in the story because you don't wait for the first confirmed case to notice that you just handed a target list to the people writing the target list. And the thing almost no one covers is the fix, which lives at the mechanism layer, not the news layer. The reason coercion works is reversibility, or the lack of it. So the defenses are the ones that survive a person standing over you. Duress wallets that hand over a decoy, multi-sig setups where no single signer under any amount of pressure can move the funds alone. Time locks, keys split across geographies. The technology to make yourself a bad target exists. It's just not the part that gets a headline, because a headline needs a hacker. So back to the question I opened with. What happens when the planning document for a physical robbery goes on sale for a few €1,000? Here's the answer. A data breach stops being a fraud problem and becomes a physical safety event. For a self-custody holder, the threat model now formally includes the way a government agency you never chose to trust handles its internal search tools. You can run flawless cryptography, hold your own keys, do everything the ethos told you to do, and your single point of failure turns out to be a misconfigured access control in a building you've never entered. Watch two things next. Whether a single confirmed attack gets traced to this file, which turns the inference into evidence, and whether anyone asks the DGFiP how one login enumerated the 8 richest income tiers in the country. Because right now the villain is a guy named Zerobytes, and the search tool that let him do it doesn't have a name at all. Thanks for listening to Protocol. I'm Ryan Moon. New episodes when the mechanisms are worth explaining. Find us wherever you get your podcasts.
Grab news. Thomas.